Typical
Her and I
Republican.
had a little debate about
just
that
not
literally
I'm
right
not
before you
Trump
texted me. Yeah, I know. That's what
lover.
I talked to Sansu about.
I'm not
And
Trump lover.
we literally talked about Renee right before you told me, hey, dude, I'm waiting to come in. Like, we literally talked about Renee. Because she's like, oh, the conservatives are not representative. And I go, well, I'm sorry, you're not there.
I think Renee represents a lot of them personally.
So do I. Okay, 5, 4.
What's our order?
Well, you're last. So we'll do Anderson, myself. We'll do Karen, then Will, Renee, Sean, and
I don't know if I'll remember all that.
okay. So
Just follow Karen.
Mike,
just follow Karen. Yeah.
Yeah,
follow Karen. Will.
Okay, sounds good.
Karen. So then, right before Mike will be Sean. So you're second to last, Sean. Okay.
Yep, I got you.
Okay.
Renee, me, and Mike.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome to We Could Be
Great.
Wrong.
Yeah, that was not the right one.
It's the music.
You would only think I would have this down by now. You would only think I could be professional.
What?
Only
I
think.
unplugged it. I unplugged the batteries. Thank you.
Okay.
You're not watching this, are you, Will? Because apparently you do it good every time, and I don't know.
Heck no. Know how many takes that is, and
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
All right, one more time.
Very good. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to We Could Be Wrong, but who cares? I'm Anderson.
Is Christopher Harris with our special guest, Karen.
Hi, it's Karen from Not Your Typical Karen.
and it's Will from You're Not Your Typical Karen as well.
Renee.
Sean.
And Mike.
And Mike.
And Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Renee should have been like, it's Renee, not your typical on the show.
Not your typical
Trump lover.
Not your typical Republican, right?
There you go.
Oh, but he might be.
No,
he might be.
He's not.
He might be.
Trump,
But
Yeah,
he
well, we could be wrong.
Boys and girls, today on our show, we are joined by Not Your Typical Karen cast. I think they're missing one person from their podcast, but they came to join us again. We're missing a couple of our regulars that have to go and take care of some things, but we do have a question that we're going to get to right now since it's going to deal with President Biden's speech. I'm going to unmute the caller right now. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I just want to say that I love your show. I just love listening every week. And that country gal, I just really wish you guys would just let her go. She is horrible. I just can't stand her.
The irony of that is we get a lot of emails like that.
Amazing. We love Renee.
Wow.
We get a lot of emails like that too, funny enough.
Another sharp caller. All right. I'm thrilled.
So caller, you had a question for the panel.
Yes, my question is this, and I'm going to preface the question by please put your party opinions to the side and try and be as objective as possible when answering this question. But my question is, does anyone on this panel believe that if Biden were the president at the beginning of this pandemic, that if he would have come up with a vaccine, not only in the record time that Trump did with Operation Warp Speed, but just even at all within those, within, 2-3 years, because typically vaccinations take 5-10 years, right, to put together. So anyway, so that's my question. Does anyone on the panel
I want to answer that.
Go ahead, Renee.
I want to answer that. I don't think so. I think Trump broke all the rules, and that's what made it possible, because coming up with a vaccine takes years and a lot of studies, and there's a lot of things that go into coming up with a vaccine, and Trump pretty much said bullshit, put all that aside, We're gonna bypass all that, and we're gonna get this vaccine done. I think he did a great job doing that Operation Warp Speed. I don't think it would have happened with Biden. That's my honest opinion.
Does anyone want to counter that?
That's it.
Well, I'll counter it. I think that I think it would have happened with Biden, mainly because the impetus behind getting it done was science, not politics. And I believe the politicians, when they need to, go to science to find the answers. And they went to them and said, you guys got to make this happen. And I think science made it happen, personally. And I think the other part of it is we're at the cusp of a revolution. And this pandemic came along at a time when we were just about ready to start to see results from that revolution in medicine, especially with vaccinations. So I think it would have happened either way.
Will, what's your thoughts?
Well, that's interesting because, I do agree with Sean on this, and I don't think politics.
I don't know if Sean is Mike or Sean.
Oh,
Mike.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I got that totally wrong. My bad. Mike. Okay, so I completely agree. I don't think politics have anything to do with the science and the research that went into getting the vaccine out. I mean, if we were to say that Trump broke all the rules to get it out, then does that mean that who may have been taking the vaccines or who will may be at risk because of all the corners that may have been cut because of that? That's just a thought that came to mind as soon as Renee mentioned that. So, I don't think it's politics.
What I think one of the question is that's being asked is not necessarily politics, but did it take someone like former President Trump to make this happen? Am I getting that right, caller? Are you saying it's someone like President Trump's attitude and gusto that made this vaccine happen, or are you stating politics? I think it's his personality and his leadership, correct?
Well, yeah, just because I'm sure you can pull up tons of media clips where the left, including Biden, Kamala Harris, Pelosi, they scoffed every time President Trump said that he would have a vaccination before November. And I believe even Dr. Fauci was on that, on that, train with them that they didn't believe it. And so what I believe is the science is there. I do believe that politics gets in the way of things like that coming to fruition. Mm-hmm. And I think that what he did is he kind of revealed that. He exposed the fact that things can be done a lot sooner and it could save our lives.
Let's go with Renee, and then after Renee with Sean, and then after Sean with Karen. Go ahead, please, Renee, start.
Okay, what I mean by that, I don't mean anything by politics. I mean, early on, when I watched the news, and Trump was saying that he was going to bypass, there's a lot of red tape that was in the way for this vaccine to happen. And I remember Democrats, they were scoffing at him, saying it's not going to happen. It takes this long for this to happen. It takes that long for this to happen. This has to happen before a vaccine. They were ridiculing him, and he made it happen. He said by what I mean by that, it had nothing to do with politics. It had to do with his attitude and him not caring. And since he was in charge at the time, he was able to bypass a lot of the red tape that held up people from doing this kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with the science either. Yes, science can make it possible, but it's the red tape that science has to go through in order to make things possible. And I think he was able to cut that red tape.
Sean?
So I actually, Will, I agree with you, since you agreed with me, and even though I didn't spoken yet. I personally don't feel it had anything to do with politics. I feel that in general, this was a pandemic. This was a once in 100-year virus, and it was deadly. So we cut through things fast. I mean, did Trump, I don't think did anything to hinder it. I think he was definitely positive for it. Did I think he made a major change in what science did? No, because politicians don't. They don't. It's the scientists that do their job. I think Trump definitely facilitated making it go faster. I'm not saying that he definitely did anything to hinder it at all. I'm not downing him in the least little bit. But I think that, no, this was science. This was definitely a science thing saying this is very deadly. We need to do something fast. And he definitely stopped the red tape. The reason we have viruses or vaccines take years is because they want to be very safe because most of them aren't that deadly. Most of them kill 60,000 people a year. I mean, that's a lot. Sorry, that's a lot. But 60,000 people for 330 million in the general consensus is not a lot. So we'd rather be safe than fast. But with this one, with the amount of people we started dying, it had to be fast. And I think that science did a lot for this. I just think that I don't down Trump for it at all. I think he did a good job for the vaccine. I just don't think he was a factor in it, except not stopping it.
Karen, your thoughts?
So I actually agree with Renee, and Sean kind of took the words right out of my mouth when he said he believes that Trump facilitated the speedy development, I guess, or how they came up with the vaccine in such a short amount of time, because he did challenge the what do you call them again, the manufacturers, to come up with a vaccine, and he gave them a hard deadline, right? So yeah, no, all politics aside, personally speaking, and I'm not one of the Trump obsessed people, but I do give him credit for facilitating the speediness and the quickness of them developing the vaccine.
Anderson, is there anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think we're forgetting why they calling it warp speed. When the virus came out, he thought it was just a common cold. It will go away in the summer. He had to call it warp speed because he realized, oh shit, this virus is killing people. Did he facilitate it? Yes, but he did facilitate it to the point where he had to hurry up and take care of the problem. That's my time.
Okay, I'll reclaim my time. So
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
So Trump did his job. Okay. Will Trump take all the credit that President Biden has now doing this transition straight into Biden's speech today? I mean, it was one of the greatest speeches I've heard in a while. It's terrific. Biden has writers like every president does. So don't jump down my throat, emailers, about how I'm now at the knee of President Biden. It was a great speech. We're all going to talk about the speech next, but I want to get to this. Yes, Trump knew that if this virus got way out of hand, it would end his presidency. He would not be reelected. He knew that. So did he put the thumb on manufacturers and scientists? Absolutely. Now, did he do it for a good reason or a bad reason? I don't know. I'm not in the man's head. I know my personal feeling, but in full disclosure, full transparency, I am a person that is obsessed with President Trump. I am obsessed with him. Okay. I'm infatuated with him. Okay. So the thing is, he did his job. I thank him. He passed over the torch, and now President Biden, I feel, is doing a terrific job, especially when he made a claim saying everyone 18 and up will have access to the vaccine starting May 1st. And he's working extremely hard to get the schools opened. That's awesome. And the fact that he did it without making it about him and making it about country first is why I think that was a terrific speech and a great first national primetime address to the nation. Karen, what were your thoughts on President Biden's speech?
Sorry, I had myself on mute. I didn't even know that it was today, actually, because I haven't been paying attention. I actually had my vaccination given to me on Wednesday, I believe. No, Tuesday. And I was knocked out yesterday. So I didn't even know that he was having the address tonight until you told me. So but I felt like he sent out the message of unity and working collectively as a nation towards meeting that goal of towards some kind, going back to some normalcy, some form of normalcy. And he reminded us that it does take all of us to meet that goal, and he didn't politicize it. So I appreciate that. And he also, I know it's not your topic, but he addressed the elderly Asian attacks. So I respect him for that also, and I thank him for addressing that. So that's, yeah, in a nutshell, I liked his speech.
Awesome. I'm gonna play some of his speech right now. We're gonna skip around, unfortunately, just because I was unable just to get the full highlights from it. Okay, so let's get some of that. Caller, do you have any other questions before I continue with his speech?
No, I just felt like everyone missed the fact that nobody had the vision for the vaccine, because they all doubted that it was even going to happen. So, but it's interesting to hear some of you say that he would have come up with it when he didn't even have a vision for the vaccine. But
well, caller, with all due respect, I think that's a bit out of line.
He was the president.
Only one person in the world had the vision to do that in a time of crisis. Only one person in the world.
That's why he was ridiculed. That's why people were laughing him off stages when he was making those statements.
You are aware that Russia and China themselves came up with their own vaccines, right? Within the same time window, right?
Faster.
They have nothing
Russian
to do
came up,
with the United States,
No, but you stated only one person had the vision to do that.
And that in the first month, it was a Democratic hoax.
Hold on, guys. Caller.
I didn't say in the world, and you're putting words in my mouth and saying that when President Trump, just like Renee mentioned, he was highly ridiculed and laughed off of stages and off of speeches when he mentioned the vaccine and how quickly he would have it done, because they didn't have the vision that he did. And the red tape that you guys are speaking of shows to his diligence into wanting to get it done sooner rather than later to save lives.
Would you like to answer to that? Do you feel like everyone missed his vision? I know you felt that he did a terrific job, correct?
You're breaking up a bit, Chris, for me.
Renee?
Anyway.
What's that?
Okay, thank you. I'll say it again. Do you feel like you felt he did a terrific job? Do you feel that everyone on the panel missed his vision?
No, I don't think. I think I don't think it was a vision. I think it was just him. His attitude and the way Trump is, he was able to not care about the red tape, not care about everyone telling him, no, there's procedures you got to take for vaccines. The vaccines have to go through all this red tape. And because he's Trump, and because he doesn't care about all that, he was able to facilitate it, getting it done fast because of who he is as far as the way he thinks, right? Someone like Biden might have listened to everybody at the time, telling them, you can't do this. There, it has to go through steps. There's certain things that have to happen before there's a vaccine. And someone like Biden would have listened and said, you know what, you're right. We're going to do this the right way. I'm going to listen to what the experts are saying about how vaccines are produced and how they come out. And he would have listened, and we probably wouldn't have a vaccine right now. It would take years. And I think Trump, because he is who he is and he doesn't care about what everybody's telling him, and he just says, nope, we're going to get it done. I think that's what facilitated it.
I think
I don't think it's this great vision he had and all this stuff.
Chris, you made a really important point when you mentioned the other two countries. Let's break this down into money in some regard. The company that came up with this vaccination was going to make a ton of money. So it became a worldwide competition in that regard. And the fact that the Russians, the Chinese, and other countries have come up with a vaccination, I'm not trying to diminish a strong leader fulfilling an accomplishment. That's what you're talking about, Renee, a strong leader making sure things were gotten done. And that's needed, absolutely needed. But let's don't get too crazy with, the only way it could have possibly been done was one guy, because, necessity is the mother of invention.
Well-
Whenever there's a crisis, humans come forward and find a way to solve that crisis. And Trump was a stepping stone in that process. Commendable. He should be commended for that. But he did not create the pathway that we are all enjoying today. He was part of the stepping stones to that.
Hey, but don't forget, the reason why he was laughed
see.
at was because he suggested that we should get disinfect in the beginning. So that's the reason why people are laughing at him. Thought it was a big joke, and it was a joke. And now it's like, oh fuck.
Wait,
So,
what?
come on.
Anderson makes a good point. He did say, there's only 15 cases. Soon there'll be no cases.
Yeah. So Chris, also,
That's the very beginning.
also,
Yeah,
on February 28th, he called it a Democratic hoax. I'm not saying that he did anything wrong. I'm just saying February 28th, which was less than a little over a year ago, he said this is a Democratic hoax, the coronavirus. The scientists did this, not him. He helped facilitate them, giving him credit for that. He didn't put restrictions on them. But Trump didn't do this. It was the scientists that did this.
Okay.
Presidents don't put restrictions on that. That's ridiculous.
No, they don't. You're right. They don't.
Exactly. So
Okay.
why would you say that he didn't put
So-
restrictions on it?
No, he opened up.
I'm saying he helped it, Sun Tzu. He helped it.
Yeah.
It's caller. It's not Sensu. Sensu's not here today.
Sorry, it's Caller. It's
Thank you.
Caller. He didn't put restrictions on it. He didn't hinder it at all. I'm just saying February 28th, he said it was a Democratic hoax.
Okay, we're not here to bash Trump. Trump did an amazing job. We are very
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yes, please.
The reason I say what I say is because early on, I don't know if you guys ever watched CNN, Dr. Gupta, his name is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ever see that guy?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, he was one of the guys that really stuck to my head early on, saying he was criticizing Trump about the vaccine, trying to go at it too fast, try to come up with a vaccine too quickly. And the reason he was criticizing it was because of the dangers, and that there's a reason why vaccines take so long and all this stuff, right? So that's why I'm saying, and Trump didn't listen to that, and others like him that were kind of like putting him down because he said he was going to open up the door so that scientists can work fast
Renee,
on this and get it into the market.
In general,
That's
I
why I
agree
say
with
that.
you, but Trump didn't do the research. It's the scientists that did the research. The scientists is the ones that got
you're
the
right. I
vaccine.
agree with
But
that.
Yeah.
100%.
But he pushed it. He pushed
Yeah,
it.
I'm
He
not
made
gonna
it
give
happen.
he allowed them.
Everybody's
He
saying.
made it happen.
He allowed them to go at the speed that they wanted to go at when they knew this was a pandemic. He didn't hold them back. The CDC didn't hold them back. It's there's a whole big picture here, not just the president.
Which is fine. I want to tie this up. I want to tie this up because this is getting boring. We got it. Good job, President Trump. Thank you, caller. She's gone now. Thank you so much. Sun Tzu will be back next week. This was a caller. Thank you. Be blessed. Be safe. Happy journeys. Okay, let's move forward. Do we want to hear some of President Biden's speech, or do we want to get on to our next topics? We have some great topics going.
Nah, move on.
Okay.
Yeah, move on. One reason. Can I say why?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Trump had great speeches. Trump had some great speeches.
Okay.
But those were the speeches that he didn't write.
Okay.
Or he didn't go solo, just go from his mind. So I'm sure his speech was great. I'm sure it was awesome.
Yeah.
But he didn't write it. So
Well, it was non-political.
Yeah. And
okay, that's the good part about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's move on. All right.
Yes.
Now, we have two major topics. Okay. We got to talk about Henry and Meghan. No, I'm playing. We're not going to talk about Henry and Meghan. We're not going to talk about Henry and Meghan.
Who's Henry?
Oh, I thought that's what we were talking about.
Harry.
I know.
Harry. Oh, Harry. Sorry.
I'm on Team Harry.
Wait,
You got it
Wait,
wrong.
who's Megan with? Megan's with Harry now? Or Henry? That's a
He's
topic.
thinking about Henry.
That's a hot topic.
Are you talking about El Churro?
Chris has the scoop on something we don't know about.
Man. All right. So we could talk about the border crisis, guys, which I think is a hot topic that bleeds into our another topic, which is a majority of the Republican-led swing states are changing their voter rights.
Georgia.
Yeah. Well, not only Georgia, Iowa.
Yeah, but
Arizona.
Georgia's the main one.
Well, Georgia's moving faster than the other states. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
So let's start with the clip on that. Let's actually talk about what HB 531 is.
Yeah, I got it right in front of me.
Oh no on HB 531.
In Georgia this week, the sounds of American democracy still struggling, and over an essential trait, voting itself.
This is what democracy looks like.
Outside the State House, protesters chant about access, fearful their ability to vote is under threat.
All those in favor?
Inside, the Republican-led legislature says the issue is security, pushing sweeping bills to rewrite state voting laws, blaming 2020.
If you didn't see confusion this year, I don't know what you saw.
Georgia's lower chamber, the House, has already passed HB 531, which cuts down early voting on weekends, adds ID requirements, and shortens the time to get an absentee ballot. The state Senate is also considering ending no excuse absentee voting and automatic voter registration at the DMV. Debate has been sharply polarized.
Okay, that's a lot there. Okay. I know some people might have questions on, well, what do you mean by early voting on the weekends? Well,
I've got the info.
Okay. Okay. Would you like to proceed
Yeah,
forward?
so what they're doing, so with this one, they've got two bills. There's Senate Bill 241 and there's House Bill 531. And what they're trying to do now, they're trying to stop voting on Sundays completely. No voting on Sundays, which there has been in Georgia.
But do you know why there is? Because this is important on why.
Yeah, because it was shit. What was the term they used for it?
To the polls.
Yeah, that's right.
Sold to the polls is a very it's a
ethnic. It was ethnic
based to get the elderly and to get the youth out, because in the African American community, especially in the South,
right,
you know, church is an essential piece of their cultural life.
Exactly.
So they have sold to the polls. Go ahead.
So they're trying to stop that. They're only going to allow one Saturday beforehand, which I can't remember, it's 2 weeks or something beforehand for voting. So only Monday through Friday voting, early voting, which is that's going to totally screw over the African American community because that's not when they vote. So they're trying to cut down who can vote. Now, I mean, some of these bills I agree with. Do I agree you should have a valid license or ID to vote? Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I agree with that completely. Even if it cuts votes out, you have to have a valid ID. That's my opinion. But saying you can't vote on Saturdays or Sundays, early voting, I don't agree with that in the least little bit. So that's the big thing to me. That's the big part to me is no Sunday voting, early voting.
Renee, do you have anything to say?
I think it's wrong. I mean, anytime you try to stop people from voting, it's wrong. You know, regardless what party you belong to. You know, people should have the right to vote, and people should have easy access to vote. And when you try to take away access, then it's wrong. Period. About the IDs, I agree with that. You should have an ID when you vote.
Will, let me go to you. Will, so let me, my question to you is, Will, have you ever helped any senior citizens in your community?
No, I have not. Like, in what sense?
In sense of, like, have you ever had a elder, either in your family or a family friend that's an elder, who needed help reading their voting ballot?
Oh, well, yeah. in that sense. I thought maybe you meant like walk across the street kind of thing. No,
Okay.
no. So
Oh, God.
no, it makes it really difficult when you have these. I mean, even for myself, when I go through these ballots, I mean, I can't go through them without doing my research over the internet and try to um, interpret what is actually being said in these things. So how can my father or my mother, how can they do it on their own? So yes, I have done that many times. Now to speak to this whole
if
thing,
you were busy, Will, and you can help your mother or your father, but you knew of a third party or a company that helps elderly read the polls, understand the polls, would you trust them to help your elderly family members or no?
not sure I would trust them to be unbiased. I mean, I certainly don't want them to steer my parents' vote a certain direction because of whatever this organization might have, underlying as far as what their goals might be. So it would always ultimately be, a trust issue.
So
especially if that particular organization received money from a particular party
Right.
to help the elderly.
And I think that happens a lot in politics and government. So
what kind of biases are being created there?
Right.
Yeah, good point.
One of the major sticking points that the people have is that this bill also disallows third parties from helping people with their voter registration. So I, working in and out of nursing homes and also working with the elderly geriatrics in my past, I know there were groups that came in to help, the people in rehab centers and in nursing homes sort of understand their ballots and whatnot. And I know that if they weren't there, those people would lose their chance to vote. And to those people, voting still means something.
Senate Bill 241, Chris, also requires them to submit a photocopy of their ID. I mean, how many people at an older age have ability to copy their ID at their house and can get out easy?
For the absentee
Yeah,
ballot.
for the absentee ballot. They require it. You have to submit a photocopy of your ID. It's like, really? I mean, I have it right here next to me. I've got my printer that's got stuff, but my dad has nothing. And how many of these older people in old folks' homes have the ability to make a photocopy of their ID?
Okay, currently in the United States, there are 2 states that require a photo ID with an absentee ballot. I believe there are Alabama and Arkansas.
Georgia's trying to.
Yeah, just FYI.
Do we know the percentage of the elderly that vote?
Don't know Anderson at all.
Okay.
I'll let you know in 5 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Because it seems like that's the issue, the elderly.
Well, but they should still have the right to vote.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with that.
There's no elderly Republicans though, and the Republican Party, elderly are the ones that vote the most.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you explain that?
Yeah.
In Florida, you said? I'm sorry. Well, because
and in the Republican Party, elderly are the ones that come out to vote the most.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I want their vote counting too.
That? Why is it that Democrats? Yeah, why aren't Democrats able to do what the Republicans do? I mean, I don't understand this.
Yeah,
you guys' argument.
So
I want their vote counting also.
I don't necessarily have an argument, but I know that elderly, Southern Blacks don't have the access, nor do they have the capability to go out there and vote without souls to polls, without a third party helping them and explain.
They vote Sundays and weekends.
Because without sounding racist, which let me tell you, this is just facts from my experience in dealing with people from the South, is a lot of them are uneducated. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Fact.
So that makes sense. Now that's the reason why then. Less elderly Democrats vote than Republicans. And I think Republicans know that that's their advantage. So they're going to go after that particular group of individuals, which is the elderly Democrats. If you can cut their vote off, it helps them.
I think this issue is the last elections, they went to church and they voted. They got out of the house and they voted at the same time.
Just to let you know, ages 65 plus, so the age 65 and up, they have 80% of voter turnout.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty good.
That's extremely high. For the one, which is the state of Hawaii, they were at 56.5% of their voter turnout for 65 plus.
Oh,
that's still over 50%.
Why is that?
That's the lowest.
Huh. I wonder why Hawaii is that.
Well, being someone who's over 65, Mike, not to call you out or embarrass you, why is that?
No, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I have no idea why a particular state would reflect.
No, not the state being over 65 and older. It's Hawaii, man. You want to relax. You want to go out there and vote and enjoy the surf.
I didn't know Hawaii was a state.
There's the Anderson we know and love.
Okay, are you?
I was born in
Chris?
Hawaii, you guys.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
okay, maybe you can answer that.
Aloha.
I wish I could. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
It's still
I don't know
over
why the hell are
50%.
these people not doing
It's
that?
still it's 56.5% over 65 and over. So look, my assumption, not being way under 65, I'm like 20.
Yeah,
way. Yeah, way. My thing is that they're edgy, they're grouchy, and they want to complain about everything, so they want to vote to change things. That's why I think.
Please,
you don't have to be 65 for that, dude.
Good Lord.
So, Chris, the question I have too is, what's your feeling about they want to stop unsolicited absentee ballot applications? That's another thing George is saying, that they want to send out absentee ballot applications to everyone. So if you want them, you fill out the application, you send it back. They're trying to say, no, don't do that. Do you have a problem with that?
I do, because here's the thing.
You still have to fill it out.
But I know, I don't have a problem with it being solicited. I have a problem with them saying, no, it has to be solicited. Let me tell you why. The thing is this, right? The situation I feel is this. This is the first time in our nation that we had unbelievable voter turnout. This is what we tell all the other countries to do, to be like us. But yet, all of a sudden, because the guy that they didn't want in, now it's a problem. It's cheating somewhere. I have clips from Arizona where Arizona stated they want to be the ones to choose. Understood. Thank you. To choose their electorates to go and pick their president. They don't even want to depend on the voting population, but their people.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, okay. Ready? Here it is.
And new tonight, a state lawmaker thinks the legislature, not voters, should pick presidential winners in Arizona.
There's a new bill which hands the legislature the power to ignore the voters' wishes and override the certification of the state's electoral college vote. Our political editor, Dennis Welch, explains.
And this bill comes just a few months after President Donald Trump lost the presidential election here in Arizona. And if this bill becomes law, it would allow the legislature to revoke certification of the election results with a simple majority vote.
I see there's some folks who are signed up to speak.
Shauna Bullock is the chairwoman of the House Ways and Means Committee and the wife of State Supreme Court Justice Clint Bullock. And judgment on her latest proposal was swift, and it was fierce. Here is a tweet from Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego that reads, referendums are expensive, but I will raise the money to kill this democracy-killing bill. And this morning, Secretary of State Katie Hobbs appeared on Good Morning Arizona to say this.
Why not just do away with elections altogether and just have the legislature pick all of our elected officials? That was sarcasm. This legislation is ludicrous.
Under House Bill 2720, the legislature could revoke the Secretary of State's certification of the election and appoint members to the Electoral College that it wants, as long as they have a simple majority vote. Had this been the law in November, the GOP-led legislature could have given the state's 11 Electoral College votes to former President Donald Trump, even though Joe Biden won the election.
In essence, they are overturning the will of the voters by taking this action. And that is extremely problematic. That is not how elections work in a democracy.
In response, Bullock issued a statement that read, in part, the mainstream media is using this election bill as clickbait to generate misleading headlines. This bill would give the Arizona legislature back the power it delegated to certify the electors. It is a good Democratic check and balance.
And as of right now, this bill has not been scheduled for a committee hearing in the House. In Phoenix, Dennis Welch, Arizona's Family.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, guys.
I see what's happening. I see what's happening. They're changing laws and making moves to prep for Trump running again. That's what they're doing. They know that if he runs again, and yeah, they know that they want to be ready this time and have all these rules in place that will allow him to win.
Let me tell you how Renee has his finger on the pulse. Okay, I'm gonna play this clip next.
Conference in Orlando on Sunday, Mr. Trump again falsely raised the idea of fraud.
We should eliminate the insanity of mass and very corrupt mail-in voting, and the Republicans have to do something about it.
Republicans across the country are heeding that call. Some 250 election law bills in 43 states, concentrated most in swing states Trump lost.
So yet again, I'm gonna call Renee Nostradamus. Okay,
Nostradamus.
Hey,
I know it's Nostradamus. Yeah, I'm putting Renee in the name, dude. Come on, don't kill my bit. Renamus. Nostradamus.
Okay,
not anus.
Sorry.
Don't kill my bit, Mike. My bit, please, dude. Sorry.
So the mic.
Jesus. It's Nostradamus, Chris. I know it's Nostradamus.
Sorry.
Here. Okay.
Sorry.
So anyways, like I was saying, Renee has his finger on it. And the funny thing is this, I was told specifically, hey, you know what the topic's going to be? I said, I want to talk about the border, the crisis at the border, and I want to talk about voting. Blah, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, we should try really hard to leave Trump out of it. Well, rude awakening, newsflash, Trump is all up in it.
Yeah.
He's all up in it, man. There's no talking about Trump.
Yeah, everything that's happening in regards to changing laws for voting is happening for one reason and one reason alone, is to prep and have everything ready so that when Trump runs again, he is able to win, period.
Second clip,
The League
Iowa.
of United Latin American Citizens in Iowa sued the state's leadership
American
Tuesday
citizens.
over a restrictive voting law passed the day before, the first in a wave of legal clashes expected to take place as Republican-led state legislatures ready an onslaught of voting bills that critics say will result in widespread voter suppression. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed a bill into law Monday that makes numerous states' elections, including shortening periods for requesting and returning absentee ballots, curbing the use of ballot drop boxes, shortening the length of time polling places are open on Election Day, and prohibiting third parties from helping people fill out and return their absentee ballots. The bill is the first major Republican state voting bill to pass since the 2020 election, according to Democratic Party voting rights attorney Mark Elias.
I'm gonna end it right there because the problem is this: they all say the same thing, and when you hear Republicans defend it, every single state says the same thing. Okay, they say the people lost their faith in our voting system. Why is that? Why did they lose their faith in the voting system?
Because their candidate lost. That's why.
Will, please answer the question. Will, I know you were going to say something. Go ahead, Will.
No, dude. They just, everyone who's for these kind of bills and these changing of the laws so that you can somehow modify or make changes to how people vote and whether or not they have access to it. It just speaks to the thought that they are all, they're whoever they supported didn't win, and
yeah, that's exactly.
Now it's kind of like let's pull up our big boy pants and just move on. I mean, okay, they didn't win. Now let's fight another day. Let's. Why is it that this election was rigged versus the previous one before that? Why was that not rigged? I mean, I don't get it.
Will, you're making too much sense now.
Stop
it. Whoa, buddy.
Well, the problem is they know these laws are suppressing the black vote. That's what these laws are doing.
It's not only the black vote, because in
Yeah,
But is a big portion of it.
But it's unfortunately, and I hate to, I'm not race baiting, okay?
I'm not either.
It is
fact.
The minority. It is fact. It is, it is the minority, and this leads right into our border crisis. And I know Renee has something very interesting to say. Renee, let me go straight to you into some of the things you mentioned about what's happening in the border crisis today.
Whoa, we're done with elections? Wow.
No, because this bleeds right into it, Mike.
Well, wait, what? Does Mike have something left to say, or
something
left? No, go ahead.
No, I just want to hear if Mike has something left to say.
You put the brakes on everything. So now go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Well, I wish Sun Tzu was here tonight, and I hope she's listening, because this is my fear.
She's scared.
This is my fear that the repercussions that one man 3 months before the election started said, nope, if I don't win, it's going to be crooked. Nope, if I don't win, it's going to be crooked.
No, Mike, you're just obsessed with Trump. Why do you always have to be obsessed with Trump, Mike?
Okay.
No,
He's following you, Chris.
Show me facts, Mike. Show me facts.
The problem is damage has been done. And that's the thing that we have to understand. Damage has been done, and it has to be repaired in some way so that we can move on and have confidence in our elections. But this is not the way to do it. This is not, to continue to pile on with our own version of reality and create laws to fit our own version of reality. We're in deep shit, guys.
True.
We are in deep shit if we can't find a way to come to a middle ground. Everybody wants, there's nothing I want more than election security. And there can definitely be laws passed to increase and ensure election security in every state. But to continue to put forward laws that will create an advantage for one side or the other, one, it won't work.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it's going to divide us even more. So that's scary. This is scarier right now. The stuff we're talking about right now is scarier to that 65-70% voting block than anything that's come down the pike in a long time.
Well, I agree with IDs. I think we should have IDs to vote. I don't see anything wrong with that, a part of the article, but
there's all kinds of ways to improve our election security. But
amen, Mike.
But let's, to make the Arizona situation, to figure out a way to reject the entire people's voting block and allow the legislator. That's friggin'. I don't even want.
That's not democracy, dude.
Okay,
it's not democracy.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on to this because this conversation kind of goes nowhere without someone.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks.
Listen, Sun Tzu's not here. And
well, I hope she agrees with us, Chris. I hope she agrees with us,
because she doesn't see that. What she sees is that Trump and his vision alone, none of you guys could see it. All you guys are blind to it. Because Trump is the way, the truth, and the light, and no man should get to the Heavenly Father but through him.
Amen.
My bad.
Well, he is the chosen one.
So, anyways, Will, were you a big Trump fan, Will? Did you vote for Trump?
I did not. I voted not for Trump. I didn't vote for Biden. I just didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Trump.
I like that. I voted not for Trump.
I'm not the most political guy in the room, quite honestly. I kind of lean in the middle. Just depends on who I think can do the best job.
Nice.
Well,
that I like.
Everyone on this panel does. Some of us lean a little bit more right here right now currently, and we have others that are ultra conservatives. But the problem is, all of us that are independent have now been called crazy Bernie liberals because we refuse to bow down to Trump. And I'm taking a shot at someone. You're listening. You know who I'm talking to. Yes, I'm talking to you. Okay, so I'm gonna move forward. Okay.
I'm
Renee,
middle of the road, dude.
Renee made an amazing point. Real quick, before I go with Renee and what he said, because his point was amazing. Will, are you self-employed or do you work for a company? You don't have to tell me who you work for. I just want to know.
Of course. No, I work for the man. I work for a man.
Amen.
You're a gentleman that's you're a full adult, right? You're over
a full
20,
adult.
right?
What does that mean?
So are you 14, Will, or
you're over?
Sometimes I feel like I'm
over
14.
the age of 30, right?
Why are you trying to date him?
30.
Jesus Christ!
I'm not trying to date him.
Oh my God, what was that?
Are you a
ASL.
full adult?
Are you 14?
Should I be worried?
No,
Well,
the wrong thing.
Should I sign a full disclosure first? Or
What are you wearing right now?
Have your testicles
Let me go talk to my parents really quick. Hold on a second. I need my parents' consent.
Ice, Mike.
Okay,
Are you a full adult? Do you have pubes? Jesus Christ!
Oh, they dropped.
Hold on. Guys, come on. Just because there's no ladies here right now doesn't mean you have to get content.
You started, dude.
Okay. The question here is, you've lived over 30 years. Okay, thank you. Okay. Ever hold on, let it out.
Come back.
Let it go.
All right. Come back.
I am not trying to hate you, Will. I'm not. Okay, I'm just.
No, it's all good.
Wow.
Unfortunately, my pink watch doesn't help me, but this is not what we're talking about. So here's the thing. The thing is this, okay? Have you ever had a illegal alien take a job away from you? I want to know that right now.
I couldn't tell you if I could.
Hold on. What did you say, Will? Someone interrupted you. What?
Okay, I couldn't tell you if it happened or not, because
do you ever felt like it did?
Sure.
No, though I could tell you that I could see how someone could feel that it did.
Can you explain to me how someone could feel like they did?
Well, if you look at employment, if you just look at it from face value, there are, say, 5 jobs there, and there are 5 jobs to be taken. If there's only 5 of us here in this country, then we all have a job. If someone else from another country comes in and takes that job, well, there's one of us that already are here in this country that no longer have one. So I can see how that thinking could propagate itself.
Well said.
Though I don't believe that. I'm
well
a careful 14-year-old
adult.
Isn't also 5 people that are qualified for the job?
No, there's only 5 jobs.
Yeah, but shouldn't it be 5 people qualified for the job? And then the next step should be 5 people that are willing to work for less.
Yeah.
Underbidding.
I mean, let's be serious. You're a business owner.
Okay.
I think that happens all the time.
Okay. I wanted to say that part just because there's another common thing that I'm hearing. There is a crisis at the border. I was talking to a conservative gentleman earlier in the week, and his whole thing was he felt 2 ways. The first way he felt was Biden is allowing this crisis at the border because he knows it means votes for him. That's what he said, straight up. He didn't, parrot it from someone. It's what he felt. And the second thing is, you know what? What are people going to do about their jobs now? And in my head, I'm like, it's not that easy for them just to take someone's job. I mean, and it's also the person that's going to hire them's responsibility. I mean, I think, didn't we pass laws stating, there's penalties if you get caught with someone working illegally? But
yes.
Okay. So, I'm just going to move forward beyond that. I heard that. I thought about that. I have a lot of thoughts about that because there is a statistic. There's 8,100 unaccompanied minors that have been
detained.
That's a wild number, and that's from this year alone. Okay.
There's been a lot more than that from this year.
I'm sorry.
This month has had a ton of them.
I meant this month. Yeah. Renee's absolutely correct. Yeah. And I watch Fox News a ton. I love Fox News. I watch Fox News. Okay. Not a Newsmax guy, but I watch Fox News. And Fox News interviewed.
Well, it's good entertainment. You don't watch it for news. You watch it for entertainment.
I watch it to make sure I'm still alive because it gets my blood pressure up. They were interviewing.
There are other ways to do that.
Yeah, please, Renee, matter of fact, take it because you said something that was super important about the border crisis.
All right.
Go for it.
Here's what I'm looking at, right? So I bilingual, and I have family members that watch Spanish television, and I watch Spanish television. There's a lot of good news stations that are in Spanish. They're kind of like a Fox News but in Spanish. Anyways, they're when Trump was around, they would go to these South American countries, which is where most of the immigrants are coming from right now. And when Trump was here, a lot of them were scared to do that trip, through come down here, and then pretty much saying that even if they made it, they were going to be turned away at the border, or they weren't going to make it in. Even if they were to make it in, they were scared because of all the rumors they heard about Trump, right? Because people were afraid of Trump, dude. They really were. And just recently, I was watching the Spanish news, and they were in Mexico at the border, and they were interviewing people there. And the people were excited, they were happy, and they were praising Biden, saying, finally we get a chance to come in. Biden's changing things for us. He's going to give us the opportunity that we want. And these people honestly believe that Biden to them was God sent, because, oh my God, finally Biden understands us. Biden's going to let us in. I think Biden made a huge mistake by overturning everything that Trump did as far as border stuff, and kind of opening up the gates and the floodgates, because now people are excited and they're coming, and it's not going to stop. And that's from what I hear through Spanish television. Go ahead.
Well, he still did less than Obama's incoming immigrants. So he's increased the numbers of immigration potentials from Trump, because Trump cut it way down from Obama. But Biden still hasn't got to Obama's levels. I think Obama was 175,000, and I can't remember. I think Biden's is like 125,000. I can't remember. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah,
Renee.
Yeah, I agree with you. But see, these people, they don't hear what you're saying. All they see is that Biden's a great guy. He's going to let them in. They don't know these figures or who did what.
Oh, no. I totally agree with that.
They were at one point afraid of Trump. At one point, they were afraid of Trump and afraid to come. And now they're not afraid, and they believe that they actually have a chance to get into the United States, and they're coming. They're coming.
No, and I agree with you. But Renee,
that's what worries me.
If I lived in a country that I was worried about my kids dying or dying of thirst, not having clean water, and I'm not saying that we have to fix that as Americans. What I'm saying is, would I do it? Hell yes. I would make that truck from Honduras with my kids every single day of the week, trying to come to a place that was better for my children. You're a dad. What wouldn't you do for your kids?
Well, Ted Cruz did it. He was willing to go to Mexico to save his kids. Right?
Exactly right. He knows what it's like now to cross the border to get better things for your kids.
Mike, I know you're one of the very outspoken Democrats on this panel, but what you feel the death knell is for the Democratic Party is their immigration stance. Can you dive deep on what you meant by that?
Yeah, I agree with you, Renee. I completely agree with you. And a lot of it's going to be perception, and perception of Americans that are seeing this mass at the border with this notion that, like you said, I totally agree with you, that all of a sudden we have a new president and he's open to allowing more immigrations to come in. And
they're not afraid no more.
No. And the notion that somebody said it about pushing from and pushing for, and the pushing from is, yes, we recognize that there's shit going on in South America and Central America. There is shit going on in Central and South America, and we need to be able to help out. But the bottom line to me, when it comes down to immigration, and I do believe this is going to be the key issue, because if I'm going to be blunt, if Biden fucked this up, In 2 years, the Republicans will run the Senate and the Republicans will have the House. I mean, major, absolutely major.
Yeah, that's
Major.
what got Trump
Yeah.
elected the first time. Don't forget, man.
Yeah. And the other part of it that I go back to about my immigration issues is, throughout this pandemic, we have been battered over the head consistently, time and time again, how minorities are being affected more, people of color are being affected more, poor people are being affected more. Absolutely, I understand it. I completely understand it. Of course, anytime the economy goes to shit, poor people get affected more, regardless of what the circumstances are, whether it's big business, the housing crisis, the dot-com bubble, the poor always get screwed in the process. So my perspective at this point would be, so we want to let another 5 million poor come in and take care of them when obviously we're having difficulty with our own people at this particular time. If the Democrats do not get their shit together on this, it will be a very short victory for the Democratic Party.
Mike, it's not 5 million. He's living it much less than Obama. But what would you do? I mean, if you were down in Guatemala, what would you do?
Okay, what Trump did, I mean, and some of it made sense. Some of the things that he did was he made a lot of these refugees go back to their own country and apply within their own country to go through the process. And that slowed it down.
Before stepping foot in here.
Yes. And that slowed it down quite a bit.
Understand.
Then, okay, but it has to be controlled, Sean. It has to be
Mike,
controlled.
I'm not denying that at all.
Okay.
But he didn't even reach Obama's numbers yet on what he wants to do.
But like Renee
but they're catching and they're releasing them into society with a promise for them to return to court, and it ain't gonna happen.
Oh no,
that's what
Renee's not releasing.
Well,
not.
It's perception.
No, they're laying them out with their court date.
Yeah, in America.
They are. I just heard
they're being held
in America. Yeah.
I didn't see anybody being released. I mean, I could be wrong.
No, they are. They're letting them go on their own reconnaissance.
I don't think so.
We'll find that out next week.
Chris.
We'll find out. Right.
We'll find out next week.
Because I know all these kids that are being held until they can give to find out. I mean, there's what they said was there's so many 8,000 children.
Record 3,200 migrant children stuck in border patrol custody, with nearly half of them past legal limits. More than 3,200 migrant children are stuck at the border. So some of them are being stuck. I'm trying to see if any of them, nearly 170. And this is just from 3 days ago. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just from 3 days. That's a lot. That's a lot.
And kids are crossing the borders unaccompanied.
Yeah.
And my
parents feel safe.
And my conservative side.
To let them come.
My
let's be
conservative
real.
side.
I'm sorry, Mike. Let's be real.
Let me finish this. Yes, let's get real. My conservative side. What parent is going to let their kid do this on their own?
If my kid was going to be safer than where he was in his own country and not get killed, hell yes, I would.
No.
Yes, I would.
Will.
I would never.
Yes, I would.
Will.
No.
Yes.
Never.
I would.
Never.
Stop.
I would.
I want to ask Will because he actually voted third party. Will, you are a parent. Okay, let's say you're in a drug-ridden country where
Hold on 1 second. Sorry if I made it sound like I voted third party. I didn't vote third party. I did actually vote for Biden, but it wasn't really my choice. It was more of like, I don't like Trump. Let me vote for Biden.
Gotcha. All right.
Will, that makes it completely different now.
Yeah. Well, it kind of it kind of does, because it kind of messes up my question. Okay, Will. So let's say you have a teenage son. I don't know if you do or not. I think you do.
I do.
You have a teenage son. You know that in a third world country, possibly where you're at, your son's going to be into gangs because they're going to force him to. Mm-hmm. Would you have your 13, 14-year-old son make that trip alone?
I think the environment is going to dictate that, because living in a third world country.
Okay, yes or no? I need a straight answer. Okay, you are. Okay. So Mike, I get what you're saying. But again, we don't know the stress that they're in. It's not right, because the truth is a lot of these people's daughters are getting raped, dude.
Yep.
And they're getting raped by American border patrollers too. Okay. I think there was
or
a lot
coyotes or whatever.
or well, they're getting raped sooner or later. Go ahead.
No, I have two cousins that actually came from Honduras and made the whole trip. And, they left because there's no jobs. They left because they have little ones and wanted to send money back, because it's just the situation out there is just terrible, especially with the gangs. I got a cousin that actually he's dead, but technically he's missing. And he got back into the drug game just because that's the only thing he could do. So what he did was he went to Mexico, was dealing drugs for the cartel, left back to Honduras. His girlfriend said, "No, I don't want you to go back. Something's going to happen," because he ended up stealing from them. He said he's going to make one last run, goes to Mexico, never to be heard again. My other two cousins actually made it to the United States, and they're doing real well. One actually from LA moved to Arizona with his newly wife, got his paperwork, is legit, and got a tire company. So he's doing real well. So the expectations could be positive. They could do positive. It's just like any American. We got dickheads here that's not even doing nothing great for this country. But we have guys coming in to this country that are actually doing well and helping our economy. And it's just so fishy. It's sad.
I absolutely, to the depth of my heart, I have no issue with immigrants coming into this country. None. Absolutely. Your story you tell is believable. Believe me, most of the immigrants that come into this country are harder working than the lazy ass Americans who don't want to work. You talk about cheap labor. Talk about cheap labor. Talk about the fact that we're competing with China. We're competing with China for goods and services. And the fact that we have immigrants coming in and providing us cheap labor, on and on and on, the benefit they're providing to our economy. I have absolutely no issue with immigrants coming into this country, but it has to be controlled. And our issue with Central and South America is we need to put stipulations on that money that we give them to say, you got to get your shit together, guys. You got to get your shit together, because you can't just continue to give you money and to watch your people get fucked over by drug lords and crime and gangs and on and on and on. This is the world we live in.
It needs to be controlled, but I mean, it's desperation.
Yeah.
Renee,
exactly.
What do you have to say? Because Renee's been.
What I was going to say earlier, brought up about jobs, taking jobs. And I've been in the construction trade for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And I've worked as an electrician, and I've worked around all the different trades. And I can honestly say that most construction is done by Latinos, Mexicans, a lot of Mexicans. And me being bilingual, I know for a fact a lot of these guys didn't have papers. And they're out there getting paid a lot of money to do construction. And those jobs could be going to Americans, and they are taking jobs. Whether you want to believe it or not, they are taking jobs.
No, I believe it, but how many people do they support?
I don't know, but it's happening.
I don't think that's the point, Sean, on how many people.
Well, no, I agree with them. I totally agree with them. If they're not legal,
I know for a fact that half of the dudes, and I'm talking about these guys are making top dollar. They're making,
Yeah, but
they have good jobs.
Are there that many white people or whatever people, Americans, that are being disadvantaged? I don't see it.
Looking for that work,
Renee. I don't see it, Renee. I don't see them.
I don't think they want to do that work.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Well,
no, I don't think they want to do that work. It's hard work.
Because I don't see a shitload of white guys hanging out in front of Home Depot. I don't. I'll right away hire a bunch of blonde-headed dudes to go work on my fucking yard, if they want to, but they're not there.
My dad does construction, dude. It's hard work. He's back
It
in
is
New
hard
England,
work.
but there's not a lot of Hispanics, Renee. So he does a lot of hard work.
I bet there are now.
Not now. There's still not a lot. It's all
They're
old
not.
white guys.
I still see a bunch of Hispanics in Hope Depot. I still don't see a bunch of white dudes there.
No, not here. Back in New Hampshire.
Oh yeah.
And those guys won't work for under. Those guys won't work for under $25 an hour, dude.
Hey, they're
Here they don't either,
If you
dude.
need help, like if you need help at a job or something,
Yeah.
they
Dude, they
won't
don't
work
hear
for
either.
$25 an hour. You go, hey, I got work for you, man. $10. No. 25
We tried to grab some people to help us with garbage. I can't remember. We were unloading a bunch of trucks into a garbage bin back. I can't remember 2 or 3 months ago, and they're like, "Yeah, $25 an hour." It's like,
wait a minute.
What?
We could be wrong. We do not condone picking up illegal immigrants to work.
I'm not saying they're illegal. There are people trying to make money.
Oh,
Sean, you were
yeah.
doing that?
Right. Yeah.
You're breaking the law, Sean?
No.
I'm just saying there are people trying to make money.
We are doing this out of entertainment. We do
It
not.
could have been my son out there trying to make money.
Okay,
He needs
Will.
it.
So, have you ever? How do you feel about this, Will? Where are you at?
I'm right here. I'm just listening. So yeah, I mean,
Does it
it's I'm just listening. You know, I just listening, and so it's like it's hard. There's no good answer here. I mean, we have a problem with employment. We have a problem with illegal or undocumented folks coming to America. Who's going to take the jobs? It's the people who really want those jobs, who are willing to get paid less to do it, and maybe not have to pay taxes. I mean, those are eventually going to end up being the same people.
All right, Will. Let me do it this way for you.
Wait, Chris, isn't that why our jobs go overseas? The same reason?
Yeah.
They're willing to do it for less overseas.
Outsourcing. Ooh.
Yep.
Okay, Will. Let me ask you, how would you fix our immigration problem?
That is a tough question to ask, and there is no good answer for that. Because
Will for president.
Okay, here's what I would do. Let me get. No, just kidding. No,
build a wall.
That's it. Build a wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to limit. I mean, we do
We
have
are
to
actually
limit
out of time.
immigration.
But the thing that I do want to mention is that's what killed me about watching Fox News. That's what I was going to get at. So they interview this guy from a South America country. He speaks Central America country.
Whatever, Anderson.
He speaks literally no English. They put a mic in front of him. They go, "Hey, sir, why are you here?" And he goes, "Biden said help." So Biden said he'll help you. Yes, he said that he'll help. He said to come here. So Biden invited you here. Yeah. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking in my head, Biden did not go to this fucking dude's house and be like, "Hey, dude, come over."
No, but that's what they believe, dude.
But Trump's saying we're going to shoot him didn't stop him.
They believe that Biden is their lifesaver.
I get that, but the propaganda that's there was so retarded. And then what really pissed me off was Hannity.
Tucker Carlson said
number 2.
Yeah, don't go there.
Okay. He just said, I find it funny that we don't have enough vaccine for us, but yet we're giving all these people at the borders vaccines. Do you really believe that we're just feeding them all with vaccines?
No.
Yeah?
No.
I
don't.
The audacity of that gentleman. And I'm tired of Hannity. I'm tired of you saying how you do MMA and practice MMA all the time. You look like a fat fuck. I don't give a shit. So, I'm sorry. I just want to throw that out there. I just can't stand that dude. I'm tired of his MMA talk.
That's right. Tell him to come to your house, Hannity.
That dude really does call me and goes, "I have the octagon. We're gonna go."
Dude, I've seen Renee work out on his Facebook thing. Let him go to Renee's.
All right, guys. Will, you were fun, man.
Nice job, Will.
Yeah,
nice
it was fun. Nice and calm.
That was great.
What happened to Karen?
She had to go to take care of something personal. She let us know. She said that she's willing to come on at any time. We might take her up on that. And
you typical Karen.
Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah. Oh. Karen. What a typical Karen.
I miss Sun Tzu, dude.
Well, I'm sure Sunsu will be back next week.
Good, I miss her.
I'm sure she misses you.
I bet she
Hey,
does.
you know what? Can I say something? Can I say
go ahead.
something?
Yeah.
If she would
And we lost him. Oh, we
wait,
lost
say
him.
it again. Say it again. We lost you. Say it again. Say it again.
I missed it. Yeah, I missed it. What?
Say it again.
would have been on, she probably would have agreed with a lot of things that all of us had to say today.
I know, that's why I missed her, dude, because
We're
this
not
would have been an
always against
agreeable subject.
Listen.
There's no rating.
Don't go there, Chris. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Okay. All right. Let me just end this show before I cause problems. Sensi, you should have been here. I understand you're probably working really hard, Sensi. I'm sure you are.
She is working really hard. No problem.
Yeah, she's working very hard. She wanted to be here. God, how much more lies can I say out my mouth? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna rock and roll. Who's gonna do outro out? Oh shoot! Before we go, hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hear a great podcast, please check out Not Your Typical Karen. They're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and they do bi-weekly, right? Will, you guys do bi-weekly?
Just about, yeah.
Bi-weekly, where you get to hear Will and Karen and someone else. I believe you guys have a third member, right?
Yeah, Lori,
who I was relatively new, right? Because I was listening to the show, so I do listen. See, proves it. That proves I listen. And they get to talk about great topics. So please check them out. They have the stamp of approval from us. We all listen. Write their email to not your typical. What's your guys' email?
the.atypical.karen.
Hey, dude, you need to fix that fucking email. Straight up, you need to fix that email. That email's way too much. You need to fix that email. Say it one more time, Will, real slow. Because once I heard the dot, I was like, oh no.
I went with the dots, man. the.atypical.karen@gmail.com.
That's a tongue twister.
I know.
Typical.Karen.com.
No, he doesn't. It's that many dots, Mike. You just ruined it for half. They're gonna put a bunch of dots. They're not even get there. Please email us at MySake Productions, guys.
And don't forget Amateur Pros. If you like sports, you love sports.
Let me get there.
And hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have pictures of Mike and Anderson up on the screen.
Yeah, Mike and I are going to work on that right away. And
Anderson also. I know he doesn't like to show himself, but I want to see Anderson.
Oh, I bet you.
Isn't your wife jealous, Anderson?
I want to see Anderson.
Yeah, because I'm so hot.
You are, baby.
So check this out, guys. First, I would like to thank the audience. Thank you guys for tuning again in great numbers. Last week, we saw great numbers again. Thank you, guys. You have to write us to let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. I appreciated the great numbers. It's good to, it's good to have a solid crew again. Please email us at mysakeproductions@gmail.com. Yeah, Sean, go ahead.
No, I was just going, yeah, exactly.
Also, you can find us on Facebook. We Could Be Wrong. We'll have this video up this week. Also, find us on Instagram at... God, I had talking shit about Will's thing. At we_could_be_wrong.
Yeah.
That's the bad one.
Hey, Chris, you got to change that, man.
I will.
Chris, you got to change that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hey, it's not the dot, atypical. So, also, Amateur Pros. Amateur Pros is up every Thursday, new episodes. That's Anderson's sports show where we talk about hard-hitting sports. Also, we are always willing to cross-promote, like you're saying now. Also, know Both Sides Now will be on next week. That's the first episode of our fitness show where you get to go on my journey, being super fit to being fat to now working to be moderate in fitness again. We'll have special guests on too, but I'll be reviewing Active 5 as well as TRX. I'll be reviewing both of those products and how it worked for me and when I hurt myself and what I did. So guys, thank you very much. Who's doing outro out?
I'll take it.
Okay, shoot.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for Who Could Be Wrong, but Who Cares? And I know I am always wrong, unlike John and Sun Tzu. I am wrong all the time, but that's what it is. That's what we're here for. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thank you, everyone. Love you, John.
Bye.
See you,
Hey, guys. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Okay.
All right, guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Good. Yeah, that was a good episode, I think.